Today and tomorrow will actually be pretty similar. Today we're going to be working on some twists, tomorrow less twists, but the goal for today, similar to what it's been, I feel like, for weeks now, and that's really just to invite you guys to, like, you're taking time to show up on your mat, but try to take it, maybe it's a level deeper, maybe it's what you already do. I know it depends on the day. For my practice, for me, whether I'm really giving myself permission to drop into my body and do what feels good, or whether I just kind of like go with it, like that happens sometimes. Less and less for me, but I also find myself practicing less, so the times I do practice, I let myself really drop in. But for those of you that practice a lot, and I know when I practiced a lot, like, I try to, but some days it's easy to be distracted. So really just inviting you to give yourself permission for the next hour to drop in and feel. You guys have all taken a class from me before. You know, it's like I teach very alignment heavy. I've been trying to teach a little bit less alignment heavy the last few weeks. I'll still, of course, give you guys cues, and I give you cues because I feel like it works for me and my body, and I've seen it in class and in private instruction. I've seen it help people. So I give it based on what I've learned and what I've seen work for people, but of course, like, do what feels best in your body. And if something that I say, like, doesn't quite resonate, but maybe tweaking it a little bit does, then, like, that's great. We're all different. My goal is to let you guys, like, land here, be present in your body, and move in a way that is going to feel most life-affirming for you, as well as most settling and grounding for you. We're in a time right now that I think things are uncertain and it's easy to feel ungrounded, so letting yourself show up and root down and feel grounded. That's the goal. So we are going to start, you choose. You can start sitting if you have a folded blanket or a little pillow you want to sit on the edge of, you can do that, or go ahead and lay down on your back. And if you're laying down on your back, choose again what feels most comfortable for you. Maybe you want to take your feet a little wider than your hips. Stay there, bub. Let your knees fall together. You could take your feet together, knees out wide. Whatever is going to feel best, whether that's sitting or laying down for you, whatever is going to help you feel the most grounded and present. And as you land in your pose, wherever that is, whether it's on your back or sitting, allow yourself to start to become aware of your inhales and exhales. Not trying to change anything with your breath. Really just finding an awareness of it. Notice, do you feel like you're breathing deeply this morning? Does your breath feel a little more shallow? Does your breath feel fast or like fluttery or uneven? Or does it feel more smooth? And there's not a right or wrong answer. We're all going to experience these at different times, different days. So I noticed myself at the beginning of all of this, I was breathing really shallow, and it was actually kind of funny. I thought I was sick because I felt pressure, like there was pressure to breathe, and then I realized that was actually anxiety. And what I learned is when we breathe mostly into our chest, we are physically in our bodies, we're more in, like, especially in times of anxiety like this, we're more in like fight or flight. When we're able to take our breath down to our belly, we actually can come out of that, and we allow our nervous system space and time and comfort to like slow down and get out of that. So the first couple weeks of all of this, that was a huge practice for me. So I'll invite you guys to do it now. Take your left hand to your heart, your right hand to your belly. I think we've actually done this at the beginning of class for the last few weeks. I just haven't explained why. So see if you can, and it's a practice, it takes time. Inflate your right hand, so the hand on your belly. So see if you can breathe all the way down there. But then let your breath continue to move up. So it moves to your ribs and your middle back, and then all the way up to your heart and even your throat. And then we'll empty out the opposite way. So you'll go throat, heart, ribs, all the way down to your low belly. And we'll keep breathing like that, filling up from the bottom, emptying from the top. So like I was saying, this is not only a great breath for like when we're here on our mat, but also like if there's one tool that I've really employed during this whole thing, it's been this like pausing, and whether I physically put a hand on my heart and my belly or not, or maybe even sometimes I'll just put a hand on my belly, because it's nice to have like a physical awareness. This breathing deep really is something that is simple but actually really impactful. So we'll take a couple more quiet breaths like that, all the way down to your belly, your ribs, your heart, from your heart to your ribs to your belly. Please let your hands come to your heart center. You can either take them in prayer pose, or especially if you're on your back, it may be more comfortable to lay one hand over your heart than the other. And we'll take a couple deep breaths in, again seeing if you can get your breaths all the way down to your belly. Please release your hands, gently open your eyes. If you are on your back, you can curl your knees into your chest. If you're sitting, it might feel good to either like curl your knees into your chest, same thing, but sitting, or with your legs crossed, you can fold forward. If you're on your back, maybe give yourself a little rock side to side. And then slowly we will all make our way upright, around to our hands and knees. You can scooch your blanket or pillow, whatever you are possibly sitting on, off to the side. We may use it later. And we're going to come around on our hands and our knees like we're setting up for cat-cow. If you were in my gentle last week, we did this. So we're going to start practice today similar to how we started practice the other day. So set up for cat-cow. Let's take, because we're going to be standing a lot, let's tuck our toes under so that you get a little stretch through the bottoms of your feet. And find a couple rounds of cat-cow here. So with your breath, exhaling to curl in, inhaling for cow pose. Doesn't need to look like anything specific. You can even close your eyes if you want. Again, really allowing yourself a minute to, now we're connecting movement and breath, and drop into that. The next time you inhale, please come to a flat back and gently draw your belly back towards your spine so you can help support your core. We're going to take your right leg all the way out to the right. Root from the inside of your right hip down through your big toe, and then we'll root from the outside of your right hip all the way out through your baby toe. Toes will be facing the front of your room. So take a big breath right here, and again, cat-cow just like this. So curl it in for cat pose. And on an inhale, hips go back and wide. This is where this one really feels good, is on cow pose, I think. And you'll keep moving like this. So this allows us to start to get into our inner thighs, into our psoas muscle that runs from your inner thigh up to your ribs. The next time you're curled in for cat pose, let's stay there. Keep your heel on the floor, take your toes to the sky, and we're going to continue your cat pose back, sitting your hips back for a child's pose like this. You may want to walk your hands forward. You may want a block underneath your forehead. So right toes face the ceiling. And then the rest of your body is in a child's pose variation. Inhaling, please help yourself back upright. We're going to take your right toes to face the front of your mat again. Your whole foot's going to become grounded. Please walk both hands over to the left. We'll plant your left hand like we're setting up for a modified side plank here. Take your right hand to your hip to start. And pause right here. Take a big breath, and on an exhale, root from your right hip down through the baby toe side of your right foot so your whole foot feels really grounded, and then we'll take your right fingertips forward and then towards the crown of your head. Lots of space along your right side body. Breathe into it. Last big breath here. Exhaling. Help yourself back to your hands and your knees. So hands will walk forward, right knee steps back to center. You can shake out your hips a little bit if you want, and then we will switch sides. So left foot's going to go all the way out to the left. Again, running from your inner thigh down through your big toe, and then outer hip down to your baby toe. When you're ready, cat-cow, second side. And see if you can with the second side, let your body's desire, need to breathe be what moves you. So when you need to exhale, you curl in. When you need to inhale, you expand back out. So instead of your brain saying, okay, time to move on to the next pose, it's your breath saying, all right, I'm ready to move, I'm ready to expand, I'm ready to contract, and your body moves with that cue. for a cow pose. Exhale, cat pose. Pause here. Left toes face the sky. Hips sit back. You can grab a block for underneath your head if you'd like it. Two more breaths right here. Again, breathing all the way down to your belly. It may feel easier to access breath into your low back, folded in like this. Inhaling when you're ready, back upright. Let your right toes return, your left toes return to the floor. Toes face forward, both hands walk over to the right. Right hand plants, left hand to your left hip. Awesome. Root from the outside edge of your left hip down through your left baby toe, and then left fingertips can reach forward, and then all the way to the crown of your head. Exhaling, help yourself back to your hands and your knees. You can shake your hips out if you want. You could take a couple more rounds of cat-cow. Whatever you want to do to help yourself get even right to left, and then we will all come to a downward facing dog. And if you don't, please have your blocks close so you can use them here in a second. So as you find your downward facing dog, feel free to walk it out if you want. Bending one knee at a time, pedaling out your feet. You can let your hips get into it if that feels good. Maybe bend both knees. And with an exhale, step your feet to the front of your mat for forward fold, Uttanasana. And we're going to be doing a lot with our hamstrings today, so I'll give you a second to pause here. Please do keep just a micro bend in your knees, just enough to keep from hyperextending. With your next inhale, please come halfway up to a flat back. Crown of your head will reach forward. Gently draw your belly button into your spine. Exhaling, fold in. Inhaling halfway up, flat back. Exhale, fold in. One more time. So we're starting to wake up our back muscles a little bit. They're going to be doing some work for us today. Exhaling, fold in. Please keep your right foot forward between your hands. We'll step your left foot back for lunge. Adjust your hands so your wrists can be underneath your shoulders. And find, if it feels good, the square of your front knee. So knee not far in front of your ankle. Not too far behind it. Behind it's better, but might not feel super stable. And let's take your left knee to the mat. When you're ready, both hands up to your front thigh. And you can either pause here, or if you'd like, you can reach your fingertips up to the sky. Wherever you end up with your fingertips reaching up or hands on your thigh, see again if you could take some deep breaths into your belly. Might even feel like a good little stretch for your belly muscles. We talked about our psoas last week. If you feel a stretch in here in your left side, that's your psoas. Last inhale here, both hands down to your blocks. Keep your left hand grounded on your block. Inhale, right fingertips reach up to the sky, twist. Please inhale to unwind your twist. So right hand comes back to the block. I would suggest taking your blocks with you. So we'll inhale right here, exhale, straighten your front right leg. And if you want to walk this one out and bend back into lunge and then straight and bend and straight, you can do that. Or we can pause right here. Whenever your leg is straight, please again move so you can see me. Keep a micro bend in your front knee. Bend back into the square of your right knee. Take your left knee up off your mat. Step your left foot forward to meet your right forward fold. And we'll switch sides, so left foot stays forward this time, right foot steps back for lunge. Pause, find the square of your front left knee. Right knee down to the mat when you're ready. And at your pace, make your way upright, whether that's hands on your thigh or fingertips reach up. Inhaling, unwind both hands back to your blocks. Root down for your right hand this time. Left fingertips will reach up to the sky, twist to your opposite side. Inhale to unwind your twist, so left hand back to your block. Right knee off your mat, blocks off to the side. This time step your left foot back to meet your right downward facing dog. Find a couple breaths here in your down dog. With an inhale, please come forward to plank pose. You choose plank on your knees or your toes. I like to do knees for my first couple of the day personally. Exhale, let's lower all the way down to your belly. As you lower down, please let your forehead rest on your mat for a second. And press the shoelace side of your feet, so that's your tops of your feet, your toenails down into your mat. Gently press your knees down into your mat, and then on an exhale, draw your low belly back to your spine. Inhaling when you're ready, back muscles lift you, cobra pose. We're doing some twists and standing poses today, like I said, but they call on our back body a lot. So our hands are here for support today in our cobras, but we're letting our backs do the work. Inhaling again, unwind forehead to the mat. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, downward facing dog. Right leg's gonna reach up and back, three-leg dog. Exhale, come forward to plank, right knee, right elbow. It's the same elbow as knee for this one. Inhale, up and back, three-leg dog. Twist it this time. So right knee, left elbow. Inhale, three-leg dog. Right knee, right elbow. Three-leg dog. Next time, twist it. Left elbow. One more time, up and back, three-leg dog. This time you're gonna hug your knee into your chest as you exhale. And then we'll step it forward for lunge. You want your blocks under your hands, find your blocks. Keep your back knee lifted this time, both hands up to your front right thigh. And then on an inhale, big breath, reach up. Please clasp your left wrist with your right hand. Gently pull up, up, up on your wrist, and then on an exhale, we'll take a little side bend over to the right. Inhaling, come back to a normal lunge. All 10 fingers reach up, and then with an exhale, both hands to your blocks. Left hand's gonna stay grounded again, right fingertips reach up, so twist, but with our back knee lifted. Please inhale to unwind your twist. Root down into your hands for just a second. Root down into your front foot. Step your back foot in like 6 inches or so. So just a slightly shorter lunge. And if you have blocks, let's take them to a higher setting. So we'll inhale right here, and with an exhale, we're gonna straighten your front leg, bend your back knee. So similar to where we just were with our back knee down, but this time our back knee's up. So we'll inhale back to our short lunge. Exhale to straighten your front leg. And you'll move through this and find a stance that feels best for you. Like it might be that this is just a smidge too short or too long of a stance. So this is where like I give you an invitation, but you find what feels best in your body this morning. The next time your front leg is straight, we're gonna keep it there. Root from your right hip down through your right heel, and again, little baby bend in your front right knee. I'm gonna sound like a broken record by the end of the day, but I don't want you to hurt your knees. Please inhale back to your right foot being grounded. Take your blocks up and right outside your right foot. If you stepped your foot back at all, I'd probably scoot it back in a couple more inches, and we're gonna come up to standing. So we are setting up for pyramid pose. So right foot forward, left foot back. Your left toes will be turned out to the left, just a tiny bit, like a 45-degree angle or less. And then let's take your hands to your hips. And gently, what wants to happen is your right hip wants to draw forward and your left hip wants to draw back. If we do that when we fold in, we're gonna end up with a super wonky lower spine. So draw your right hip back. Gently draw your left hip forward. And again, micro bend in both knees. Big breath in here. Back stays straight like a board. Exhale with your hands on your hips. Okay, I told you we're using our back muscles, so here we are. This is part of it. Gently draw your low belly into your spine. Reach from your hips forward through the crown of your head. At any time, feel free to take your hands to your blocks. Please don't just let everything fall in and curl in. Two more breaths in your pyramid pose. To come out of this, please bend back into the square of your front right knee. You're going to be in a short lunge. Step your left foot back a few inches, both hands to the floor. Right foot meets your left, downward facing dog. Inhale, plank pose. Again, you choose knees or toes. Exhaling, lower down to your belly. Toenails press into the mat, knees gently press into the mat. Draw your low belly back to your spine on an exhale. Inhaling, heart reaches up. Forehead off the mat. See if you can here, let your shoulders relax a little bit so they're not going to fall to the floor, but they just soften. Inhaling to unwind yourself, forehead back to your mat, tucking your toes, hips lift, downward facing dog. Left foot is going to reach up and back this time, three-leg dog. Exhale, left knee, left elbow. Inhale when you're ready, three-leg dog. Cross it underneath you this time, so little twist, right knee, left knee, right elbow. Three-leg dog when you're ready. So one more of each of those, left knee, left elbow. And then for the next one, it'll twist underneath you on an exhale. One more time, foot reaches up and back. And then this time on an exhale, come forward to plank, hug your knee into your chest, pause here. Step your left foot forward. You got something for your hands if you want it. On an inhale, both hands up to your thigh. When you're ready, inhaling to reach up, left hand's going to clasp your right wrist this time. And we'll take a deep breath and pull up on your right wrist first, and then with an exhale, little side bend over to the left. So I like to do these side bends with these twists because it's easy in twists, unfortunately, to start to shorten into whichever side you're twisting to. We'll practice not doing that today, but it feels nice to lengthen it out. Inhaling back up. Both hands to your blocks. Same thing as we did on the first side, so keep your left hand grounded, your right hand grounded, left fingertips reach up, little twist here. Please inhale to unwind, left hand back to your block. Scoot your back right foot in about 5-6 inches. Find again the square of your front left knee, just a shortened stance. Big inhale here, exhale, straighten your front leg. And we'll move it just like we did on the first side. So inhale back to a lunge, exhale to straighten. And know that this side's going to be different. So you see what feels best for you in your body. You may want a slightly shorter or longer stance on this side. The next time your front leg is straight, your back knee's bent, we'll pause here. Fold and see if just like in your pyramid pose, you can keep your spine pretty straight. Inhaling back to your lunge. Walk your blocks back forward if they're not already. If your back leg is still out pretty long, step it in a couple inches, setting up for a pyramid pose on the second side. Help yourself upright. Again, little baby bend in both knees this time. Left hip is going to draw back, right hip's going to draw forward to help keep your hips square. Beautiful. Big breath in here. Exhale, hinging at your hips, fold in. Hands can come to your blocks whenever you would like. With your next inhale, please bend back into the square of your front left knee. Step your right foot back for lunge. Blocks off to the side. Left foot steps back to meet your right, downward facing dog. Please take your knees down to the mat. Untuck your toes. So you'll set up your feet, your legs like you're setting up for a child's pose. Walk both hands over to the right of your mat. Big breath in here, sit your hips off to the left and sit your hips back for child's pose. And we're going to spend the next number of breaths right here in your child's pose. With your side stretch. And see if you can breathe not only down into your left side where there's a lot of space, but also into your right side, which is your shorter side in this case. With an inhale, please come back upright. Walk yourself through center. And we'll switch sides. So exhale, hands walk over to the left, hips sit over to the right, and again, hips sit back. Second child's pose. Inhaling, please come back upright. Back to your hands and your knees. Give your hips a little rock side to side. Alright, let's all find a downward facing dog. And we're just going to move through it. So find your down dog. And then we're going to step your feet forward to the front of your mat for lunge. For forward fold. Have both blocks or block-like things close, please. Let's bend your knees, sit your hips back, come up to standing. All right, welcome. We haven't even stood up yet, have we? All right, I'm gonna switch sides so you can see me better on this side. All right, so as we come up to standing, please step your feet forward between your blocks if they're not there already. Look down at your toes. Find your feet about underneath your sit bones. All 10 toes face the front of your mat. Little baby bend in both knees. And we're gonna let your weight root down into your right foot. Get light on your left heel. And as you start to take your left foot up off your mat, please flex your left foot. So your toes are active, your heels energetically pressing down to the floor. Let's keep hands on your hips to start. Big breath in here, exhale, warrior 3. Crown of your head reaches forward. Left heel is gonna reach back, 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 back to the back of your mat. And see if as you find your warrior 3, so your hands are on your hips for a reason besides, I think it's easier to balance. Come back to mentally where you were in your pyramid pose. In our warrior 3, our right hip wants to drop, our left hip wants to raise. So see if with your hands on your hips, you can help your hips be square. Left toes facing the floor will help that. Left heel pressing back will help that. Last big breath here. With an exhale, fold and both hands to your blocks. Step your left foot all the way to the back of your mat. You'll end up in lunge on your right side. Awesome. Beautiful. Let's turn your left toes to the long edge of your sticky mat, right elbow to your right knee, left hand to your hip for side angle. With an inhale, let's reach your left fingertips forward and then all the way to the crown of your head. Just like we did at the beginning of class, root from the outside edge of your left hip down through the baby toe side of your left foot. And then from your left hip, long through your left fingertips. Exhaling, please gently hug your feet towards each other like you could crinkle the mat in between your feet and help yourself upright. We'll just move through Warrior Two, so we won't stay there. Move through it, straighten your front leg. Big breath in, Trikonasana, triangle pose. You have block there if you'd like it. If you'd rather gently take your hand to your shin, you can. Just please don't press back onto your shin because that will take the bend out of your knee. Inhale, we're going to unwind our triangle pose. Rotate all 10 toes, all 10 fingers to face the front of your mat. You'll end up in lunge. And we're going to come out of it the way we went into it. So root down to start into your hands. Step both blocks forward a few inches. Root down into your right foot. Find yourself in Warrior Three, but with your hands on your blocks. So the left foot's lifted, left toes face the floor, left heel presses back, back, back. You can keep your hands on your blocks, or if you want a little more challenge, hands to your hips. Keeping a baby bend in your standing right leg, help yourself up to standing. Oh, left foot finds the floor. Shake out your hips. I'm going to switch sides again. Awesome. Second side. Okay. Feet just a couple inches behind your blocks. This time root down into your left foot. Get light on your right heel. Whenever you feel steady and stable, right knee hugs up into your chest. Right foot is active, so even though you can't see it, let it still be active. And let's pause here, because I just noticed myself doing this. So if your right hip lifted when you lifted your leg, let your right hip drop. Then start to move into your Warrior Three. So right heel, not toes, heel presses back, 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 back. Right toes face the floor. And your hands are on your hips to help yourself keep your hips square. At any point, feel free to take your hands to your blocks. Last big breath here. Right foot steps all the way back for lunge. We're not going to spend much time in lunge, we're just moving through it. So right toes turn to face the long edge of your mat. Left elbow to your left knee, right hand to your hip. Side angle pose, second side. Sorry, with 4 animals, my house is a little bit of a zoo. Alright, if you haven't already, let's reach your right fingertips forward towards the crown of your head. Couple more rounds of breath here. Exhaling to safely come out of this, hug your legs towards each other. Then come up to standing, straighten your front left knee. Trikonasana, triangle pose when you're ready. And as you spend a few breaths in triangle pose on this side, see if you can find those deep breaths we found at the beginning of class. So breathing all the way down to your belly, your low back, up through your ribs and up through your heart. With an inhale, let's unwind this side, come back through lunge. So all 10 toes face the front of the room. Step your blocks forward a couple inches. Root down into your your left foot, your front foot. Really, really root down into your hands. Right foot's gonna get light. Warrior 3. Again, hands can stay on blocks or hands can come to your hips. Inhaling, help yourself upright. All the way to standing. Step your feet out wide. Shake out your hips. Do a little hula hoop. All right, so where we are going, we've done some twisties, we've done some pyramid. We're gonna do, I don't know if you guys can see me or not. My head looks cut off in that screen, but I can't tell if it actually is. So we're going to do revolved triangle, which is really like revolved pyramid. So if you don't have them already, set your blocks up on their highest setting right at the front of your mat. And we're gonna step right up between your blocks. We're gonna start with left foot forward, and we'll step your right foot back the length that you would for pyramid pose. So for me, it's about 2/3 of the width of my lunge. Right toes face the front of the room. Again, left toes turn out ever so slightly. And let's again start with our hands on our hips. Like I said, I really like this because it lets you bring in awareness to where your hips are physically in space. When we start to fold forward, that can move a little bit. So right hip's gonna gently draw back. Left hip's gonna gently draw forward. Big breath in, reach from your hips long through the crown of your head. So you're standing up super tall. Then you'll hinge at your hips. Pyramid pose, fold yourself in. Seeing if you can keep your spine pretty straight. Hands can come to your blocks when you're ready for them. And if you get to your pyramid pose and you're folded in and your spine is straight and you're hinging at your hips and you want to take your blocks to a lower setting, by all means, go for it. Sorry, now the dog I just let out of the room is crying at the door, so if you can hear that, I apologize. Alright, if you are folded more than a 90-degree angle at your hips, please come back to being folded halfway up. Keep your left hand grounded on your block, right hand to your hip. So this can be a great bus stop to stop right here. If you want to take a little further, start to roll your right shoulder blade onto your back, and that'll take you more into your twist. If you want to take it a little bit further, you can take your right fingertips up to the sky. If reaching your right fingertips up to the sky doesn't feel good for your right shoulder, take your hand back to your hip. You're allowed to experiment with it. And again, breathe. To come out of this, we'll inhale to unwind our twist. Right hand back to your right block. pause here in your pyramid pose for just a breath. Then left foot steps forward to meet your right. Uttanasana. Let yourself fold in here for a second. Let your shoulders, your neck relax. It might feel good to gently shake your head no or nod it yes. Bending your knees, sit your hips back. Reach your hands up to the sky. Come on, like you're standing. Big breath in. Hands back down to the floor. And we'll switch sides so the left foot stays forward this time. Right foot's gonna step back for your pyramid pose. Again, about 2/3 of the width of your lunge. Left foot or left toes face the front of the room. Right toes turned out to the right ever so slightly. With your hands on your hips, help yourself draw your left hip gently back, right hip gently forward, till you feel your hips about square. Last time I'll say this, please keep a micro bend in both knees. Big inhale, reach tall through the crown of your head. Exhale, hinge your hips, fold in. Hands can go to your blocks whenever you're ready for them. This time, keeping your right hand grounded on your block, take your left hand to your left hip. You can pause right here. If you want to take it deeper, start to roll your left shoulder blade onto your back. You'll twist over to the left. If you want to take it deeper, left fingertips can reach up to the sky. And you'll notice that what you do with your arms might feel different side to side. That's okay. Last inhale. Let it go on an exhale, and then let an inhale unwind you. Left hand back to your block. Right foot steps forward to meet your left. Forward fold. Please take your feet out about as wide as the short side of your mat. Toes turn out ever so slightly. If you've got a block, you can sit down on a block. If not, just hips sit back. Malasana. So, squat pose. If you've got books or something you're using in a block, you can sit right on those too. Let's take your elbows just inside your inner thighs, hands to your heart, close your eyes. Or you can take your gaze downward if that's more comfortable. Please inhale right here with an exhale. Take both hands down to your mat. Lift your hips up to the sky. Turn your heels out to meet your toes, so you'll be in a slightly wider than normal forward fold. Letting your hands come to the floor. Step one foot back for down dog, then the other. And so you have a choice here. We're gonna do pigeon pose. I'll show normal pigeon. If you'd rather do pigeon on your back with a figure 4, you can do that too. So if you want to do normal pigeon pose, let's step your right foot forward. Left foot stays back for pigeon. And this pigeon is going to be more of a resting pose. So you can stay upright if you want. If you want to lower down to your elbows, feel free to do that. When I do pigeon as a resting pose, I love taking my forehead to a block. And if you're on your back, then your right ankle is crossed over your left knee. Knees hug into your chest. As you settle into your pigeon, again, invite your breath to flow up and down the length of your spine. Inhaling, filling from the bottom up. Exhaling, emptying from the top down. If you are not on your back, please let your hands return to the floor in your pigeon pose. Help yourself upright. And then we'll all switch sides. So if you're doing pigeon, move through down dog. If you're on your back, you can straighten both legs up to the sky and then switch sides. When you're ready, left side. And just like the first side, settling down into whichever version you prefer. Once again, returning to some gentle breaths up and down your spine. Not trying to force it. Just inviting the breath to flow more freely. Take a couple more rounds of breath on this side. On an inhale, please help yourself back upright. If you're on your back, stay on your back. If you're in pigeon, move through down dog. And then we're all going to make our way down to our backs. So as you make your way down to your back, please do hug your knees into your chest. It might feel good to rock side to side a little bit. It might also feel good to take one hand to each knee and move your knees forward and back with your breath. So choose if one feels better than the other. If there's any other pose you would like to take before Shavasana, maybe a happy baby or Supta Baddha Konasana with your feet together, knees out wide, you could support your knees. Feel free to do that. Otherwise, make your way down into your Shavasana.